You can't just erase everything we had.
You did that yourself.
The fork hit the plate with a sharp clink that cut through our dining room like a blade. My wife, Bree, had just delivered her masterpiece, the line she'd probably been rehearsing in her head for weeks. "There's a line of men waiting for me, Kai. You should remember that." She said it while cutting her salmon, casual as discussing the weather, 16 years of marriage, and she drops this bomb between bites of dinner I'd cooked myself. The rain drummed against our windows, and I could hear our daughter Hannah upstairs, probably texting friends about how boring her life was. If only she knew. I smiled. Actually smiled. Bree looked up, confused by my reaction. "That's interesting," I said, reaching under my chair. "Speaking of lines." The black folder landed on the table with a soft thud. Bree's fork froze halfway to her mouth. "What's that?" she asked, but her voice had changed. The confident tone was gone, replaced by something smaller. "Open it." "My name is Kai Dornell, and I own a small repair shop in this weathered Maine town where everyone knows everyone else's business. At least they think they do. I fix engines, appliances, anything mechanical that breaks down. Turns out I'm pretty good at fixing other problems, too." Bree set down her fork and opened the folder. The first photograph showed her and Trent Ardell coming out of the Lakeshore Motel, his hand on her lower back. The timestamp read 3 weeks ago, 2:47 p.m., a Tuesday. I remembered because she'd told me she was working late on insurance claims. Her face went white. "Kai, I can explain." "Keep looking." More photos. Trent's BMW in our driveway when I was supposedly at work. Bree meeting him at the coffee shop downtown, leaning across the table to whisper in his ear. My personal favorite, them in his car outside the bank, and Bree had my checkbook in her hand. "It's not what it looks like," she said. The classic line. If she lied any harder, the house lights would dim from the energy drain. "Really?" "Because it looks like you've been playing house with Trent Ardell for 3 months. It looks like you've been using my business account to fund your little romance, and it looks like you think I'm stupid enough not to notice." I pulled out my phone and set it on the table. "But here's my favorite part." I pressed play. Bree's voice filled the room, crystal clear through my phone's speaker. "He'll never suspect anything. Kai's so focused on his precious shop, he barely looks up when I come home. And if he ever finds out, I'll just say he was emotionally distant. Everyone will believe me over him." Trent's voice responded, "What about the money?" "I've got access to everything. He's too trusting. By the time he figures it out, we'll be long gone." The recording continued for another minute, but I turned it off. Bree sat frozen, staring at the phone like it was a snake. How did you... Get this. Funny thing about Trent's car. He's got one of those fancy Bluetooth systems that automatically connects to any phone that's been paired with it. Your phone paired with his car 3 months ago, remember? When you borrowed it to run errands? Well, turns out his system has been uploading your calls to his cloud account ever since. All your calls, Bree. Every single one. I stood up and walked to the window, looking out at our quiet street. Mrs. Callahan was on her porch as usual, probably wondering why our dining room light was still on so late. "You want to know the really funny part?" I turned back to face her. "I've been recording our conversations for 2 weeks. Every lie, every excuse, every time you've come home late smelling like his cologne. It's all documented." Bree finally found her voice. "You can't do this. You can't spy on me." "Actually, I can. This is my house, my property, and my marriage. Well, was my marriage." She stood up, trying to regain some control. "You think you're so smart, don't you? You think you've got everything figured out?" "I know I do." "We'll see about that." The next morning, I was drinking coffee and reading the local paper when someone knocked on my door. Hard, official knocks. I opened it to find Officer Duffy standing on my porch, looking like he'd rather be anywhere else. "Morning, Kai. I need you to come with me." "What for?" "Your wife filed a complaint. Says you threatened her last night. Says she's afraid for her safety." I almost laughed. Almost. Instead, I nodded and grabbed my jacket. "Officer Duffy, do me a favor. When we get to the station, ask Bree to tell you exactly what I said to her, word for word, then ask her if she has any proof. Before we dive deeper into the story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories." 20 minutes later, I was sitting in an interview room while Bree spun her tale of fear and intimidation. She was good, I had to give her that. Tears at just the right moments, voice shaking with practiced emotion. "He's been acting strange for weeks," she told Duffy. "Paranoid, angry. Last night he showed me these photos and started yelling about how he was going to ruin my life. I'm scared of what he might do." Duffy looked tired. In a town this size, he probably handled more domestic disputes than actual crimes. "Mrs. Dornell, did your husband actually threaten you? Did he say he was going to hurt you?" Bree hesitated. Just for a second, but I caught it. He said he was going to make me pay. Those exact words? Another hesitation. Well, not exactly those words, but what exactly did he say? I watched her scramble. The truth was, I hadn't threatened her at all. I'd been calm, quiet, almost polite, and she knew it. He said there would be consequences. Duffy sighed. "Mrs. Dornell, that's not a threat. That's a statement of fact." That's when I played my trump card. "Officer Duffy, I'd like to show you something." I pulled out my tablet and opened the video file. This is security footage from my home office, recorded last night after dinner. The video showed Bree in my office going through my desk drawers, but more importantly, it showed her practicing her story for the police. She stood in front of my computer monitor, using it like a mirror, rehearsing her frightened victim routine. "He threatened me," she said to her reflection, trying different inflections. "I'm afraid of what he might do. No, that's not right. I'm scared of what he might do." Duffy watched the whole thing without saying a word. When it finished, he looked at Bree with the expression of a man who'd just realized he'd been played. "Mrs. Dornell, filing a false police report is a crime." I didn't. "You're free to go, Kai," Duffy said to me. "Mrs. Dornell, I suggest you think very carefully before making any more accusations." Outside the police station, I called my old friend Vic Sanderson. Vic used to be a cop here in town before a car accident left him with a permanent limp and a new career as a private investigator. He was waiting for me at the Hammered Nail, our local bar, with a manila envelope and a grim smile. "Your wife's been busy," he said, sliding the envelope across the table. "Trent Ardell's not just cheating on his wife with yours. He's been planning to leave town with her, and they've been using your money to set up their new life." I opened the envelope. Bank statements, credit card bills, rental applications for apartments in Boston. All in Bree's name, all funded by transfers from my business account. "There's more," Vic said. "Trent's wife Shelley doesn't know about the affair, but she's about to. I've got a package ready to mail to her tomorrow morning. Photos, text messages, the whole thing." "What kind of text messages?" Vic's smile got wider. "The kind that would make a sailor blush. Your wife's got quite the vocabulary when she thinks nobody's listening." I felt something cold settle in my chest. Not anger exactly, but something sharper, more focused. "Vic, I need you to do me one more favor." "Name it." "I need you to find out everything you can about Trent's business. His clients, his deals, his reputation, everything." "Planning something?" "Just evening the playing field." That evening, I came home to find Bree waiting in the living room. She'd changed clothes, done her makeup, and put on her most innocent expression. "Kai, we need to talk." "Do we?" "This has gone too far. I made a mistake, okay? I admit it. But we can fix this. We can go to counseling, work things out." I sat down across from her, studying her face. "What about Trent?" "It's over with him. It was never serious anyway." "Really? Because according to the rental application you filled out last week, you were planning to move in with him next month." Her mask slipped. Just for a second, but I saw the real Bree underneath, the one who thought she was smarter than everyone else. "You don't understand," she said. "I was confused, emotional. I wasn't thinking clearly." "You were thinking clearly enough to transfer $8,000 from my business account to your personal checking." "I was going to pay it back?" "When? After you and Trent disappeared to Boston?" She stood up, pacing now. "Fine. You want the truth?" "Yes, I was planning to leave, but only because you've been ignoring me for years. When's the last time we went out together? When's the last time you told me I looked beautiful? When's the last time you didn't lie to me?" That stopped her cold. "I've been keeping track," I continued. 3 months of lies, Bree. 3 months of coming home late, making up stories about work, pretending to be sick so you could spend the day with him. You want to know when I stopped telling you that you looked beautiful? It was when you stopped being the person I married. She tried a different approach. Tears started flowing, right on cue. "I know I messed up, but I love you. I've always loved you. Trent was just attention. He made me feel wanted. Save it for someone who doesn't have recordings of you laughing about how stupid I am." The tears stopped. Just like that. "You recorded our private conversations?" "I recorded a cheating wife discussing how to steal from her husband. Big difference." She stared at me for a long moment, and I could almost see the wheels turning in her head. Then her phone buzzed. She looked at it, and her face went white. "What's wrong?" I asked, though I had a pretty good idea. "Nothing, just work." But I could see the text message from where I sat. It was from Trent. "We have a problem. Call me." "Trouble in paradise?" She didn't answer, just grabbed her purse and headed for the door. "Where are you going?" "Out." "Say hi to Trent for me." She slammed the door hard enough to rattle the windows. I smiled and pulled out my phone to call Vic. "Package delivered?" "About an hour ago. Trent Ardell is not happy." "Good. Phase 2 starts tomorrow." The Hammered Nail was busier than usual for a Thursday night. Word travels fast in a small town, and apparently word was that Trent Ardell had thrown her cheating husband out of the house. I was nursing a beer at the bar when Bree walked in, scanning the room until she spotted me. She looked like she hadn't slept. Good. "We need to talk," she said, sliding onto the stool next to me. "Here? In front of everyone?" "I don't care who hears this anymore." The bartender, Jimmy, pretended to be busy cleaning glasses, but I could tell he was listening. So was half the bar. "You think you're so clever," Bree hissed. "You think you've won something, but you have no idea what you've started. Enlighten me. Trent's wife is threatening to take everything in the divorce. His business, his house, everything, and she's blaming me for destroying her marriage. Imagine that. This affects Hannah too, you know. When this gets out, when everyone knows what happened, she's going to be humiliated at school." I turned to face her fully. "You should have thought about Hannah before you started your affair. I made a mistake. Oh, you made a choice. Every day for 3 months, you chose to lie to me, steal from me, and plan a new life with another man. That's not a mistake, Bree. That's a pattern." She leaned closer, lowering her voice. "You want to destroy my life? Fine. But I'll take you down with me. I've got friends at the bank, friends in the insurance business. One word from me about your shop's finances, about some of those cash jobs you do, and you'll be dealing with audits for the next 5 years." I smiled. "Go ahead." "What?" "Make your calls, talk to your friends. Because here's what you don't know. I've been preparing for this conversation for 2 weeks." I pulled out my phone and showed her the screen. It was a recording app, and it had been running since she sat down. "Everything you just said about using your connections to harass me, that's called conspiracy to commit fraud, and I've got it on tape." Her face went through several different shades of red. "You can't record me without my permission." "Actually, I can. Maine is a one-party consent state. As long as one person in the conversation knows it's being recorded, it's perfectly legal." That's when Trent walked in. He looked worse than Bree. His usually perfect hair was messy, his expensive shirt was wrinkled, and he had the look of a man whose carefully constructed life was falling apart. He spotted us at the bar and walked over, ignoring the stares from the other customers. "This is all your fault," he said to me. "My fault? How do you figure?" "You couldn't just let it go. You had to be vindictive about it." Jimmy, the bartender, was openly listening now, along with most of the bar. In a town this size, this was better than cable television. "Let what go, Trent? My wife's affair? The theft from my business account? Which part exactly was I supposed to let slide?" "It wasn't theft. Bree was going to pay it back." "With what money? Yours?" "Oh, wait, that's right. Your wife cleaned out your accounts yesterday." Trent's face darkened. "You think this is funny?" "I think it's justice." That's when things got interesting. Trent stepped closer, trying to intimidate me. He had about 2 inches and 20 pounds on me, and he was used to getting his way through physical presence. "You need to call off your private investigator and stop spreading lies about us." "What lies?" "Everything I've shared is documented fact." "My wife is talking about taking the kids and moving back to her mother's in California. She wants to destroy me in court." "Maybe you should have thought about that before you decided to cheat on her." The bar had gone completely quiet now. Even the jukebox seemed to be holding its breath. Trent grabbed my shoulder. "You're going to fix this." I looked down at his hand, then back up at his face. "You've got 3 seconds to let go of me." "Or what?" "Or I'll add assault to the list of things I'm documenting about you." He let go, but didn't back down. "This isn't over." "Yes, it is." That's when Trent Ardell walked in. Trent's wife was a small woman, barely 5 feet tall, but she had the presence of someone much larger. She surveyed the bar, spotted her husband, and walked over with the measured pace of someone who had nothing left to lose. "Hello, Trent." "Shelley, what are you doing here?" "Looking for my husband, though I'm not sure I can call you that anymore." She turned to Bree. "And you must be the woman who's been entertaining my husband at cheap motels." Bree opened her mouth to respond, but Shelley held up a hand. "Don't. I've seen the photos. I've read the text messages. I know exactly what you are." The bar was so quiet you could hear the ice melting in people's drinks. Shelley reached into her purse and pulled out a manila envelope. "These are divorce papers, Trent. I'm filing for full custody of the children and half of everything you own, which, according to my lawyer, includes that real estate business you're so proud of." She dropped the envelope on the bar. "You can pick them up when you're done here, assuming you have anywhere to go, since I've changed the locks." Trent looked like he'd been slapped. "Shelley, we can work this out." "No, we can't. 18 years of marriage, Trent. 18 years, and you threw it away for her." She gestured at Bree without looking at her. "I hope she was worth it." Shelley turned to leave, then stopped and looked back at me. "Thank you," she said quietly, "for letting me know what my husband really was." After she left, the bar slowly came back to life. Conversations resumed, but I could feel the stares and hear the whispers. By tomorrow morning, everyone in town would know the whole story. Trent stood there for a moment, looking lost, then followed his wife out the door. Bree started to go after him, but I caught her arm. "I wouldn't. Shelley looked like she was just getting warmed up." Bree jerked her arm away. "This is all your fault." "No, this is all your fault. I just made sure everyone else knew about it." She leaned close one more time. "You think you've won, but you haven't. I'm going to make your life miserable." "You already tried that. It's called marriage." She stormed out, leaving me alone at the bar with Jimmy and a handful of locals who were pretending not to stare. Jimmy refilled my beer without being asked. That was something else. Just getting started. The next morning, I woke up to find my truck's tires slashed and "loser" spray-painted across my garage door. Bree's revenge, no doubt. Subtle as always. I called Vic while I waited for the tow truck. "Busy night?" he asked. You could say that. What's the status on Trent's business?" "Interesting developments. Turns out he's been cutting corners on some of his property inspections. Nothing illegal, but definitely unethical. A few of his recent sales had problems that he didn't disclose to the buyers." "Problems?" "Foundation issues, electrical problems, water damage. The kind of things that cost tens of thousands to fix." "And the buyers don't know?" "Not yet, but they will if someone happens to send them anonymous letters with documentation." I smiled. That would be unfortunate for Trent. Very unfortunate, especially since 3 of those buyers are lawyers. "Vic, you're a treasure." "I do my best. By the way, I've got some interesting news about your wife, too." "I'm listening." "She's been talking to a divorce lawyer, someone in Portland. Apparently she's planning to claim emotional abuse and ask for half of everything you own." "Let her try. I've got documentation of everything she's done." "There's more. She's been telling people around town that you've been having an affair, too. Says she's got proof." That was interesting. "What kind of proof?" "Don't know yet, but she's been making calls, trying to dig up dirt on you." "She won't find any." "I know that, and you know that, but in a town this size, rumors can be as damaging as facts." "Then we'd better make sure the facts get out first." That afternoon, I went to the local newspaper office. The Pine Valley Gazette wasn't much, a weekly paper that mostly covered high school sports and town council meetings, but it reached everyone in town. The editor, a woman named Carol Stevens, knew me from high school. We'd dated briefly before I met Bree, and we'd remained friendly over the years. "Kai Dornell," she said when I walked in, "I heard you had some excitement at the Hammered Nail last night." "Word travels fast." "In this town? Lightning travels fast. Gossip is instantaneous." I sat down across from her desk. "Carol, I need a favor." "I'm listening." "I need you to run a story about financial fraud, specifically about people who steal from their spouses to fund affairs." She raised an eyebrow. "This wouldn't have anything to do with your current situation, would it?" "It would have everything to do with my current situation." "Kai, I can't just publish accusations without proof." I pulled out a folder and set it on her desk. "I'm not asking you to publish accusations. I'm asking you to publish facts." She opened the folder and started reading. Bank statements, credit card bills, documented transfers from my business account to Bree's personal account. All of it legal, all of it verifiable. "This is comprehensive. I'm thorough." She kept reading. "Some of these transactions go back months." "Like I said, I'm thorough." Carol sat back in her chair. "You know, if I run this story, it's going to destroy your wife's reputation in this town." "Her reputation was destroyed the minute she decided to cheat on me and steal from me. I'm just making sure people know the truth." "And Trent Ardell? What about him?" "This implicates him too. His real estate business won't survive this kind of scandal." "That's not my problem." Carol studied me for a long moment. "You've changed, Kai. You used to be one of the nice guys." "Nice guys finish last. I'm tired of finishing last." She nodded slowly. "I'll run the story. But I'm going to need you to go on the record. Done. And I'm going to need corroborating sources. I can provide those. This comes out next Wednesday. You sure you want to do this? I thought about Bree's smug confidence, about Trent's entitled attitude, about 3 months of lies and theft and betrayal. I've never been more sure of anything in my life. Wednesday morning arrived gray and drizzly. Perfect weather for what was about to unfold. The Pine Valley Gazette hit the newsstands at 7 a.m., and by 8, my phone was ringing constantly. The headline read, "Local business owner exposes spouse's financial fraud." Carol had done exactly what I'd asked, stuck to the facts, included documentation, and let the story speak for itself. The article detailed how Bree had systematically transferred money from my business account to fund her affair, complete with dates, amounts, and bank records. It mentioned Trent by name as her partner in the scheme, and included quotes from me about the impact on my business and family. But the real masterpiece was the sidebar story. Real estate professional under investigation for undisclosed property issues. Vic's research had paid off. 3 of Trent's recent buyers had come forward with complaints about undisclosed problems with their purchases. The State Real Estate Commission was opening an investigation. By 9 a.m., I was at my shop when Bree burst through the door. She was holding a copy of the newspaper, and her face was red with fury. "How could you do this to me?" "Good morning to you, too. Everyone in town is going to see this. Everyone at my work, all of Hannah's friends, everyone." "That was the point." She threw the newspaper at me. "You've ruined my life." "No, I've exposed what you did to ruin your own life. There's a difference. I'm going to sue you for defamation." "With what money? And for what? Everything in that article is true and documented." "I'll find a way to make you pay for this. You already tried, remember? The false police report, the slashed tires, the spray paint. How's that working out for you?" She looked around my shop, taking in the organized tools, the neat workbenches, the evidence of a successful small business. "I built this with you," she said quietly. "I supported you when you started this place. And I supported you through college, through your career changes, through every dream you decided to chase and then abandon. The difference is, I never betrayed you. I made a mistake. Stop calling it a mistake. Mistakes are accidental. What you did was deliberate, planned, and calculated." My phone rang. I glanced at the caller ID. It was Hannah, calling from school. "I have to take this." "Dad?" Hannah's voice was small, uncertain. "Everyone's talking about the newspaper article." "I know, sweetheart." "Is it true? Did Mom really do all those things?" I looked at Bree, who was listening to every word. "Yes, it's true." "Are you and Mom getting divorced?" "We're going to talk about that tonight when you get home." "Okay. Dad?" "Yeah?" "I'm sorry this happened to you." After I hung up, Bree was staring at me with something that might have been regret. "She hates me now." "She doesn't hate you. She's disappointed in you, just like I am. There has to be a way to fix this." There was, 3 months ago, when you could have chosen to work on our marriage instead of starting an affair. 2 months ago, when you could have confessed instead of stealing from me. 1 month ago, when you could have stopped lying to me every single day. What about now? Now you get to live with the consequences of your choices. She left without another word. That afternoon, Vic called with an update. Trent's having a rough day. 3 more of his clients called the Real Estate Commission with complaints. His broker is talking about suspending his license pending investigation. What about his divorce? Shelley's lawyer is going for the throat. Full custody, full asset division, and she's claiming adultery as grounds. In Maine, that can affect the financial settlement. Good for her. There's something else. Bree's been making calls to your business clients. That got my attention. What kind of calls? Trying to spread rumors about your work quality, suggesting they might want to find a different repair shop. Any of them buying it? Not so far. Most of them have been working with you for years. But she's persistent. Let her make her calls. My work speaks for itself. That evening, I came home to find Hannah waiting in the living room. She looked older somehow, like the events of the past few days had forced her to grow up faster than she should have. "Where's your mother?" "Upstairs packing." "Packing?" "She says she's moving out, going to stay with Aunt Margot until she can find her own place." Margot was Bree's sister, cut from the same cloth. They'd enable each other's victim narratives and spend weeks plotting their revenge. "How do you feel about that?" Hannah shrugged. "I don't know. Confused, I guess. I mean, I knew you guys weren't happy, but I didn't know about all this other stuff. I'm sorry you had to find out this way." "Did you really have to put it in the newspaper?" I sat down next to her on the couch. Hannah, your mother stole $8,000 from my business. Money I needed to pay suppliers, to keep the shop running. If I hadn't stopped her, she would have bankrupted us. But couldn't you have handled it privately? I tried. She filed a false police report against me, vandalized my truck, and started spreading lies about me around town. At some point, you have to stand up for yourself. Hannah nodded slowly. What happens now? Now you and I figure out how to move forward. Your mother made her choices, and she's going to have to live with them. Will I still see her? Of course. She's still your mother. Even after everything she did? Even after everything she did. Bree came downstairs with 2 suitcases and a box of personal items. She looked at Hannah, then at me. I'll be staying at Margot's. My lawyer says I shouldn't discuss anything with you directly anymore. Fine by me. I'll want to see Hannah on weekends. That's between you and Hannah. She turned to our daughter. Honey, I know this is hard to understand, but sometimes adults make mistakes. Mom, stop. Hannah's voice was firm. Just stop. I heard the recordings Dad played for the police. I saw the bank statements. I know what you did. Bree's face crumpled. I never meant for you to get hurt. But I did get hurt. We all did. Bree looked like she wanted to say more, but instead she picked up her suitcases and walked to the door. This isn't over, Kai. Yes, it is. After she left, Hannah and I ordered pizza and watched an old movie. We didn't talk much, but we didn't need to. Sometimes just being together is enough. The next few weeks passed quietly. Bree's lawyer sent papers demanding spousal support and half of my business assets. My lawyer sent back documentation of her theft and fraud, along with a counter-demand that she repay the money she'd stolen. Trent's real estate license was suspended pending investigation. 3 of his recent clients were pursuing legal action for non-disclosure of property defects. Shelley's divorce was proceeding smoothly. Apparently, adultery and fraud made for a very straightforward case. The town gossip mill eventually moved on to other scandals, but not before everyone had formed their opinions about what had happened. Most people sided with me, though a few thought I'd been too harsh. I didn't much care either way. One evening in late October, I was closing up the shop when Bree appeared in the doorway. She looked different, thinner, tired, older somehow. Hello, Kai. Bree? Can we talk? About what? About ending this. About moving forward. I gestured to a chair. I'm listening. She sat down, fidgeting with her purse strap. My lawyer says I don't have much of a case for spousal support. Your lawyer is right. And the business assets are mine. You forfeited any claim to them when you started stealing from the business account. I know. Her voice was barely above a whisper. I know I messed up everything. Yes, you did. Trent and I, it's over. Has been for weeks. Turns out he wasn't interested in a relationship with someone who couldn't help his career anymore. Shocking. I lost my job, too. The insurance company said my personal situation was affecting my professional credibility. I didn't respond to that. There wasn't much to say. I've been thinking about what you said, about choices and consequences. And? You were right. Every day for 3 months, I chose to lie to you. I chose to betray you. I chose to steal from you. She looked up at me. I chose to throw away 16 years of marriage for something that wasn't even real. Why are you telling me this? Because I want you to know that I understand now. I understand what I lost. Understanding doesn't change anything. I know, but I needed to say it anyway. She stood up to leave, then turned back. For what it's worth, I am sorry. Not sorry I got caught, but sorry I did it in the first place. After she left, I sat in my shop for a while, thinking about choices and consequences, about trust and betrayal, about the difference between justice and revenge. I'd gotten my justice. Bree had lost her marriage, her job, her reputation, and her financial security. Trent had lost his business, his family, and his standing in the community. They'd both learned that actions have consequences. But I'd learned something too. I'd learned that I was stronger than I'd thought, smarter than people gave me credit for, and perfectly capable of standing up for myself when necessary. Most importantly, I'd learned that sometimes the best revenge is simply letting people face the natural consequences of their own choices. The divorce was finalized 3 months later. Bree moved to Portland to start over, somewhere people didn't know her story. Hannah chose to stay with me, visiting her mother every other weekend. I kept the house, the shop, and my self-respect. In the end, that was worth more than any revenge I could have planned. The last I heard, Trent was selling used cars in Augusta. Apparently, his real estate career never recovered from the scandal. Shelley remarried a year later, a nice accountant who coached Little League and had never cheated on anyone in his life. As for me, I learned to be content with quiet evenings, honest work, and the respect of people who matter. It turns out that's enough. Sometimes the best way to win is simply to refuse to lose. And sometimes the house rules are simple. Treat people with respect or find somewhere else to live.